Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. It is 10:10, Wednesday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And today I'd like to bring to you the subject matter of Prince William and Meghan Markle. Now, truly, I think to myself, why on earth am I doing this? I have no interest in this whatsoever. However, we live in a world where never before in history has everyone's lives been exposed, because we live in a world called the internet, a virtual world. And I am going to speak about this today because it is very familiar to many people, and what can happen when a person enters into a family and destroys it. I have friends who have family members who married people and they just were set out to destroy that family. I'm also discussing this because my heart absolutely bleeds for the young ones of today. I'm talking from teenage to young children, teenagers, up to those to 35 years old. Allow me to explain. I was at an appointment the other day and there was a lady there who I was speaking to. She was absolutely stunning. And I don't know, I got talking about body language, and she said to me, "Oh, what do you read? What do you see in my body language?" You know, body language to me is very important, and I've always shared that with my viewers. And listen to what people say. Listen to the language of people. And I shared with her what I thought, because body language for me is great to develop characters for my writing. And that's why I look into body language and facial expressions. And I'll get into that when I talk about Meghan and Harry. And then when I shared with her what I thought, she said, "Do you know what? I am so insecure." It broke my heart. She said, "I don't think I'm pretty. I am so insecure." You would never know it, dear viewers. Never know it. She looked confident. She looked outgoing. She was very skilled at what she did. And she said, "I am so insecure. I don't like the way I look. This is why, she really opened up to me, done this and that." And I said to her, "You are absolutely stunning. You are so young." She was 33 or 34. I said, "You don't need any of that. And you need to know who you are. You are beautiful. You have a lovely personality. You're physically beautiful. You have a lovely figure." She didn't think so. Why? All because of social media. What we see in social media is damaging and destroying and harming our children, whether they're young children or adult children. And that's why I'm bringing up Harry and Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle was born in California, the United States of America, in 1981. She was born to a white male American with a Scottish, Irish and English background, Thomas Markle. Her mother was African American, and her name is, now let me have a look, I've just forgotten her name. How did I forget her name? Doria Dooley, her name is Doria Dooley. She was African American. Thomas Markle was on his second marriage with Doria, and they only had Meghan. Meghan had two half siblings actually, and one was a brother, Thomas Markle Jr., and her sister, again I've forgotten, you must forgive me here, was, yes, Samantha Markle. She suffers from MS. Now, I'm going to begin sharing just a summation of Meghan's life. Meghan was raised by her father, Thomas Markle, her white American father. Her mother abandoned her, left the home, abandoned her for 10 to 12 years. The father was a Hollywood lighting director and he gave his all to Meghan. She went to the finest schools. She got to experience Hollywood. That's what inspired her to go into acting. He placed her in acting classes and other activities. He gave her the best life she could have. She was not wanting for anything. He loved her incredibly. He sacrificed for her too. She was also very involved with her sister Samantha and her brother Thomas Jr. They were Samantha was like the mother she didn't have, the mother that abandoned her. Now, since she was about 11 years old, she was obsessed with Princess Diana and the royal family. However, in the interview with Oprah, the many lies her and Harry told were just indescribable and heinous. Lies upon lies upon lies. She shared to Oprah she wished she had siblings, and she wished she experienced having siblings. The truth of the matter is it's now been revealed and exposed via photos that as a baby, from a toddler to a child to a teenager, photos revealed her siblings were very much involved in her life, Samantha and Thomas Jr. So that lie was exposed. She studied the royal family. Friends have disclosed, many friends who now don't have anything to do with her, because she is known as someone who just picks up friends for her benefits and drops them as fast as she can when they cannot or do not benefit her. She divided her family. Now, let me get on to that a bit later. So she knew all about the royal family. She was obsessed. She had posters of Princess Diana. She loved her. And it is alleged that her friends said before she met Harry, she shared with the close friends who are not close friends anymore that she wanted to go and find a rich British man. So she set out after finishing Suits, or maybe even just before that, I can't recall, so don't quote me on that one, on a trip with her girlfriends to Europe. Now, she was previously married to Trevor. He was a producer, a Canadian producer, and that ended in divorce. That didn't last very long, sadly, because it didn't get her where she wanted to be. That's a fact. This can all be verified by just looking into Meghan Markle, okay? So therefore, she wanted to marry a British rich man, and she dated a few, but they weren't suitable. Then she was set up on a date with Prince Harry. And she made out that she didn't know him or the royal family. I mean, for Harry to actually buy that, and he did, because Harry was a very lonely person and still very traumatized by the death of his mother, and she saw that. She is a very great manipulator. After studying her personality and researching many commentators that know the royal family, that know her personally, she is what you call a narcissistic, pathological liar who could actually have a mental disorder because she cannot see anything that she does as being wrong. Therefore, Harry believed her lies. And as she shared on Oprah, she had to learn how to bow, and she just ridiculed the Queen. It was absolutely horrific. And Harry looked at her, and you could see the disdain, but then he chirped up because they had to play the role of what they wanted to do, destroy the family. Before that, she dated Harry before the Oprah interview. She dated Harry. She drew him in, and she knew his vulnerabilities because she had been studying the royal family, and she knew that she was going to marry him. She wanted to marry him. So she just reeled him in. And he was at that stage where he was very mentally challenged, vulnerable, and she knew how to play on that because that's the sort of personality that can pick up on those in need mentally and emotionally. She got him. In 2018, I think it was it January, hold on. Yes, May the 19th, 2018, she married Harry. And as I shared in a previous video, I shared to my sister, I can't watch that wedding. I knew nothing about Meghan, except for years ago when I watched her a few times with my daughter on Suits. That's all I knew. I knew nothing about this woman. And I said to my sister Linda, I can't watch it. I feel sick. I literally feel sick about this woman. And my sister Linda was so excited to watch it, and I didn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I just thought, nope, I feel sick in my stomach. She's a bad hat, a bad hat. And I've been listening a lot to and watching Lady Campbell. Lady Campbell is a socialite. She's very connected to the royal family because she has family connections. And she knew the Queen very well. She has family connections with the European royal family as a whole, right? Not only in England, but in Germany and in Greece. And so she is very, very renowned in the upper class in England and Europe. She's very well known, very close to the Queen. And quote, she said the Queen, when she met and had a few outings and whatnot with Meghan Markle, she commented to Lady Campbell, which everybody calls her Lady C, she is a wicked, wicked woman. And when Harry came to ask Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth II, whether he could marry her, she shared and said, quote, to Harry, I guess I have to allow it, don't I? I mean, she already went through heaps with her own children in very unhappy marriages, bar Edward and Sophie. They're still happily married. And she never, ever liked Meghan Markle, according to Lady C. Her, as I said, I'm going to repeat, her words were, she is a very wicked, wicked woman. And as I go on, this might just be part one because I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm already on 14 minutes. So she married in 2018. She stayed in the royal family, maneuvering her way to manipulate and be destructive and as difficult as she could, while the whole time trying to play the victim. You see, narcissists are great at playing the victim. If you look at psychology and you study that narcissistic, pathological, lying personality, they are great at playing the victim and they're very believable. So she set out to divide her and destroy Harry's family as she divided and destroyed her own family. Because it came out before she was married, her sister Samantha, her father Thomas Markle, and her brother Thomas Jr. shared with the world that she divided our family. She destroyed our family via manipulation, lies, and much deceit. You see, Meghan Markle was very ashamed. This is a keynote of her African heritage, which now she plays on and uses to further herself with the race card. She, according to her siblings and close friends, that she has dropped, so much has come out. It's really quite indescribable how wicked this woman is. She hated her African heritage. Nobody actually knew she had any African heritage at all because she never spoke about it. She straightened her hair to get rid of the afro that she has. She literally does have an African curl that is well known in the continent of Africa. They love their African curls, and it's distinguished in African culture. She hated it. No one knew. She always appeared white with a spray tan. She is so white, like her Scottish, Irish, American dad was white. She was white, and she spray tans herself now. In suits, she wasn't spray tanning herself at all. So a lot of her family and friends knew she hated the African heritage and she hid it. So she straightened her hair and she wasn't spray tanning at that stage. And what she did was set out, because she wanted to go places in Hollywood, she would only use people and befriend those that would get her higher up in level to where she wanted to go. That is the exact representation of a narcissistic personality. When she married Harry, she ventured out to do the same thing, divide and destroy his family. And she succeeded at that, just as she succeeded with dividing and destroying her dad, who was very ill, who wanted to come to the wedding, who wanted to give her away, but she set him up. I won't go into that in this video. She set him up, made it look like that he was used in the media, and it was all a setup. He never ever got the invitation to her wedding. And she said it must have got lost in the mail. For the love of all that is good. This is a royal family, dear people. Nothing gets lost in the mail. Everything is completely and utterly coordinated in such a strict ordeal and a manner that it cannot possibly be lost in the mail. But she doesn't have the capacity to intellectually think that. He ended up having a heart attack after she informed him that Charles was going to, Prince Charles then, King Charles III now, was giving her away. And throughout the Oprah interview, she lied and said that the family had abandoned her, that she didn't pay them much attention and they had abandoned her, and she lied right throughout. And Samantha Markle ended up coming out a year or two later, as well as her brother. I think it was in a 60-minute interview, sharing the factual truth. It was all a lie. She set the family up. She did not want her father or her family there because they were of no use to her. They couldn't get her places anymore, and they were no use. And quite frankly, it is suggested, allegedly, she was very ashamed of them. So she set out to do what she did with her own family, destroy Harry's family, and she did that by lying and using the race card. And in the Oprah interview, she said, and of course Oprah's eyes, it was so performed. If you watched her body language, as I did, you could tell the woman was lying and Harry was lying. The way they were sitting, the way they fidgeted, the way they crossed their legs and how they crossed their legs, the way she would put her arm on Harry as a guy to say, now be quiet, shut up. It is my time to talk. She's very well known for doing this, even to the point where she used to always carry her baby. And before I started getting into body language, that would irk me like you would not believe. I'd say to myself, why does she keep carrying her baby? I mean, it was so off-putting. Wow. It is suggested now and alleged that she never, ever was pregnant. She had a hysterectomy and there was a surrogate. Yes, dear viewers, and it's been looked into. That's a exclusive there for those that don't know. It's being looked into whether these children are legitimately hers, whether she gave birth, because it is alleged by a family member she had a hysterectomy in her late teens. She never birthed the baby with Trevor either. They had no children. Her first husband, the Canadian producer, going back to the Oprah interview. She played the race card and said, there were two of the royal family that wondered what colour my baby would be. And of course, Oprah's eyes, as the actress as she is, dramatically opened up wide and said, you can't mean that they suggested what colour it would be, whether it be black or white. Now, the Spare book that Harry made, that too was also filled with lies, also spoke about that. And when it was translated in Danish, it shared who the two people were: Princess Catherine of Wales and King Charles III. And it was just a passing by comment. I would think the same. And an African-American reporter for the Royals, a royal commentator, said the same. Us African-Americans always talk about, I wonder what colour the baby will be. It's a very familiar and everyday question to ask if you're marrying a white man or if you're marrying a lighter African person, right? But she knew what she was doing. She set out to destroy the royal family in that interview with Oprah. She set out to separate Harry from his family. And because Harry was so vulnerable and so needy emotionally, she succeeded. And the lies have been exposed. Allow me to read to you that her trip to Nigeria, after all the lies, the revenge and the playing the victims and causing much damage to the royal family. Now, they have a protocol where they are told say nothing, do nothing if anything is said against us. And the Queen upheld that to the day she passed, even though she was trashed by Meghan and her own grandson, Harry, right? So they set out to leave England in 2020. Why? Because they wanted privacy. Harry played the mother card. You see, she uses the race card. Harry rides on the tail of his deceased mother. It is repulsive. Remember that. He rides on the tail of his deceased mother because he knows that will attain much attention. She rides on the tail of the race card because she knows that will gain much attention. Right? So, after the Oprah interview, all the lies were exposed. After Spear, all the lies were exposed. And what happened? They needed to rebuild their brand, right? Because Prince William is not one to mess with. Prince Charles still holds to tradition, right? Do nothing, say nothing. But Prince William had an opportunity and shared in a matter of words without saying it outright that the royal family, the Commonwealth, have many races in it. They love all and each race, and they are not a racist family in so many words. So after the Oprah interview, after the Spear autobiography of Harry, Prince Harry, all the lies were exposed, and the family really, the royal family, didn't want anything to do with them. So, of course, we had the South Park comedy cartoon that made fun of them, and that was what hit the nail on the head. It was brilliant. Their excuse for leaving is we want to be away from the paparazzi. We're concerned for our safety. We don't want our children to be exposed and in danger. What absolute garbage. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating because all they've done in Hollywood, firstly Canada, who threw them out, they don't want them anymore because they are very loyal, the everyday Canadian, to the royal family, to the Commonwealth, even though Trudeau isn't, their Prime Minister, who within himself is, dear Lord, a charlatan to say the least. And then they went off back to America because Canada didn't want a bit to do with them. And then after they were exposed, many of their friends like Tyler Perry, like Oprah, and many of their friends dropped them so quickly after being exposed, after Spear, and of course, as I mentioned many times, the Oprah interview. So they had to try and make it in other ways. So they went off to Nigeria under the guise of being the Dutch and Duchess of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They had no right. You know, the people who wanted to be private, who wanted to not be exposed by media, who didn't want to have their life out there. They did the complete opposite. They had their life out there. The Nigerian First Lady was appalled. It was a failed trip. She spoke out to an audience after they left and shared, we don't like, everybody knew who she was talking about, quote, we don't like American actresses who come to our country and dress without modesty. In Nigeria, our women dress with modesty. She just hit it right where it needed to be hit. Their trip to Nigeria was a fail. Nigeria is not a safe country, dear people. Nigeria is a country that is in somewhat turmoil, but nowhere near as their recent trip to Colombia. Oh my gosh, that trip was such a disaster. But I'm not going to go on. I'm going to leave this as part 1, and I'll come back for part 2, right? But before I do that, I want to read you 2 scriptures about what it is to be married to a wicked woman, right? It's in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs was written by Solomon, King Solomon. He was the 3rd king of Israel, to this day known as the wisest man alive. And he wrote, warning against idolatry, right? Now, this here, he's speaking about the literal word idolatry. But idolatry can also come in many forms as well. We can idolize someone through idolatry. We can destroy someone through idolatry by being so narcissistic. But he's talking about the physical idolatry here, but this still applies, I believe, to Meghan and the sort of personality she is. Proverbs 5, chapter 5, verse 1. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ear to my word of insight, that you may maintain discretion, and your lips may preserve knowledge. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. Dear Lord, that reminds me so much of Meghan. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the way of life. Exactly, a narcissistic. Her paths wander aimlessly, but she does not know it. And that's a strong trait of a narcissist. They don't know that they're doing so badly and making such a bad impression of themselves because it's all about me and myself and I, and they have no clue. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her paths wander aimlessly, but she does not know it. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Do not turn aside from what I say. Keep to a path far from her. Well, sadly, Harry didn't. Do not go near the door of her home. And there's actually one more. It is in Proverbs 20, chapter 20, verse 9. Better to live on a corner of the roof, or some versions say in the desert, than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. It is now very evident that Harry knows exactly what Meghan is like. And in part 2, I'm going to share the Spotify deal, the Netflix deal, the body language of Harry and Meghan and their hate for each other, their disdain for each other via the expressions of body language and facial expressions. And you will know and you will verify that this is a very, very unhappy couple. And as I shared with my sister Linda, I give them 5 years and they'll be divorced. They're now on their 6th year. Do I wish divorce on anyone? Absolutely not. My heart extends. Even though Harry was caught in her trap, I feel sorry for him. Do I feel sorry for Meghan? No. She deserves the consequences that come to her. Do I hate her? Absolutely not. But she is going to reap what she has sown. It's coming. It's coming very quickly. And I'll also share if there's any further developments about whether her children were carried by a surrogate. And as I shared, I can't believe I'm actually talking about these two. Even as a teenager, I was never one that had interest in Hollywood, the people of the music industry. Yes, I loved music. Yes, I listened to music. I still love music, but I wasn't one that was obsessed like most teenagers or young people. And I can't believe I'm talking about this couple, but it's for the very fact that what you see on social media isn't the reality in real life. It's all a posing demonstration. Please understand that. And I'm doing this filming and exposing these two because families are being destroyed, and they are the forefront of how a family can be destroyed by the actions of one woman. So until the next time, take care, stay well and healthy. Au revoir.